Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Survive and UX podcast. It is the end of 2024. Jessamine, are you feeling closure on anything?
Yeah, I mean, this year I feel like was a giant blur
Yeah.
and it's probably going to blur into next year, but I feel good about this year and
Mhm.
I feel good about wrapping this year up. So, what about you?
Yeah, I was reflecting and thinking that this was actually my first year at my new job where I was there for a full 12 months because of all the stuff
Hmm.
that's happened to me over the last couple of years.
Yep, yep.
And wild to me. So wild that I got to spend, or wild that it took this long to do that. And that I got to spend every month of the year there and to kind of see how the work kind of ebbs and flows over the year. I think I had
Yeah.
forgotten how that happens, or maybe at my old job, I had been there for so long that every single day
Mm-hmm.
felt exactly the same. So anyway, I think that's been cool. And this was the first year I got to like meet people in person
Yes.
and that kind of stuff. So yeah, overall, I'm also feeling good about closing this year off. So
Yay.
usually, when we get to about this time of year, Jessamine and we take a look at predicted trends, like blog posts that people have written in the industry about what's coming up for UX this next year. And this year, we're going to do a little bit of a different format. So, what we're going to do this year on the podcast is our 2025 UX hype list. So, we each have individually chosen three top things that we're hyped for in 2025. The prompt that I gave us was to select things that we were personally hyped about, like individually, something that would kind of like get us going this year, positive or negative, in the realm of, personal, professional, or industry wide, but somehow relates to UX. So it could be totally crazy, but if we can work it back to UX, I think it fits the prompt. And we don't know what each other has written, so this will be kind of fun for us to see what each of us are hyped about,
Mm-hmm.
and learn a little bit more. And we'll go in backwards order. So we'll start from three and we'll go to the top thing that we're hyped about.
Yay.
And so before we get to our list, though, and we get in on this, also wanted to say that we'll have an announcement at the end of the podcast. So we'll do our list and then we will get into that. So if you're ready, Jessamine, I'll kick us
Yes.
off. Cool.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
as silly as it sounds, for number th my number three thing that I'm hyped about, I'm hyped about AI. I know,
Oh,
I
okay.
know. I wasn't gonna put it on the list. I was even gonna put it in the intro as like, that neither of us would pick it. But here's what I'm hyped about. So the other day, I dropped my water bottle that I love, and it
Oh.
broke, but only one little
Oh.
part of it broke. And I'm
Yeah.
being trying to be really like deliberate about what I'm replacing and what I'm buying and all that stuff. And
Okay. So
and so
Californian.
so I emailed the company, Owala, by the way, great. I totally 100% think their water bottles are great for kids and adults.
Mm,
So I'm net
okay.
promoter, and no free ads, but we're not sponsored. Um, but the one little part broke. And so I email them my story. I say, come on, you guys have to have just one little part around somewhere. You care about the environment. I'm sure you do. Please just send me this one little part. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for shipping. I don't want to buy a new bottle and I don't want to buy a new whole top of the bottle, which
Yeah.
was the part that broke. And I get a lovely message back that is like, we totally understand how you're feeling. Please check out these links. We sometimes have spare parts there, blah, blah, blah. Signed the Owala chatbot. And I was like,
Oh.
okay, all right. Well, this stuff is getting a little bit better, a
I
little
like
bit
that
more
the chatbot
personal.
totally knows how you're feeling.
It totally knows how I'm feeling. And what I want to do, what I'm hyped for about AI is I'm ready to engage with the robots. I am ready
Okay.
to email this robot back and talk to it
Yeah.
Hopefully in a way, hopefully in a human enough way that it gets so darn confused that
Ugh,
it finally reroutes me to a human. Basically, I guess what I'm
right.
trying to say is the equivalent of your touchtone phone where you just press 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 to
Right.
get to an operator.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try to play that
Break the
game.
bot. Yeah.
I'm trying to, yes, that's what I'm excited for.
Right.
I'm sure there's a million other things that would be exciting to talk about in AI, but that is something that I think so far I've been more hesitant and not necessarily disengaged, but maybe like I'm not an early adopter of things. And so I've been like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how can I like leverage this or learn about this or tidbits of that or whatever. But I feel like I'm ready to like jump in and just like see what I can do with my relationship with robots. So that's my number three thing that I'm hyped for.
Okay. I mean, I think that it's like when you learn kind of to talk to your Alexa,
Yeah.
you sort of learn that like you're not going to offend Alexa, but you also don't want to become an asshole either. So you sort of strike this like middle ground where you
Hmm.
are really direct and you don't like mince words, but you're also not like, saying really rude things or yelling at it most of the time.
Yeah. I'm wondering what types of things, like I'm sure you heard the strawberry thing a couple of months ago or whatever about how it couldn't tell you how many R's were in strawberry. I think it was
Oh,
Chat GPT couldn't tell you
oh,
how many R's were in strawberry. And
okay.
I don't
I mean,
even
this is where I'm just like,
yeah.
who cares? And is this solving a problem for anybody? I mean, I guess my most when we were talking about this, what comes up for me is like the other day I had, all this Christmas shopping I'd done and I had something I wanted. I had placed an order and the next day, like within 24 hours, I was like, oops, I need to get a bigger size. My kids are growing bigger. I ordered the size too small. I need to change. And I basically went to the Macy's site. I got on there with the chatbot and I was like, I want to change the size of my order. And the chatbot's like, you can't. And
Mhm.
I was like, "Ugh, fuck this." So then I went and like did like I was like, I want to talk to a person. And so then I got in line to talk to a real person. And then I think I went on either email or I think I went on the phone. So I had
Mhm.
like the two things going at the same time. And of course the wait period was like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. So I get the chat response and they're like, no, you can't. And then I got the phone and she's like, no, you can't. So I got no three times. The chatbot gave me the no the fastest, like
Mhm.
within a minute. And then the human chat was within, 5 or 10 minutes, and the phone chat probably 10 minutes. But at least like I don't know. It was a very frustrating moment. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this again because I should be able to make a change like this. I don't think this item hasn't even shipped, right? So why can't I
Mhm.
make this change? But it was just like a brick wall. And so I was like, well, I guess I can say this that I'm gonna get a no. The chatbot at least can give me the no faster, but I just wasn't ready to hear the no.
From
I
the
mean,
chat, from the
from
robot,
the
from the
chatbot,
chatbot.
yeah, from the
Yeah.
chatbot, I was just like, come on.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
just felt like, oh, maybe there's something I can do, or somehow I can convince.
That's
Yeah.
how I guess I feel about the water bottle. And
Mm.
I guess there
Well,
are
what happened? Did you
times
get the part?
I haven't tried yet.
Oh. See, it didn't take you all the way. It gave you the link so
No.
that you could do the work. It wasn't like, "Here, Meg,
Yeah.
we're sending you that part." See,
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be to me that's the value that is missing is you don't need a link. You need someone to fill it out for you and be like, "Meg, we know who you are. We know where you live and we know what kind of water bottle you have because we have all those records and we're going
Yeah.
to with the parts in the mail.
Now
Say
I'm
no
a little
more."
creeped out though.
Do no
So
more. The part's on its way. That would to me be like, oh wow, you just saved me a half an hour of filling out forms.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, okay, so we got to move on.
All right.
Jessamine, what's your number three? That
My
thing that
number
you're hyped
three,
for?
okay, so my number three thing is I called it experiences, not APIs. So this is a mindset that I want to cultivate because in my industry, APIs are the secret sauce. They are the value driver. They're the key thing that customers use when they're using, one of our services. They drive the revenue, they do the work, they are the
Hmm.
magic. But when you're designing an interface, it can be just so easy to rely on the APIs to dictate the experience. So you come into, your user interface and it's like, okay, create this thing, view it, edit it, delete it. Just here's the CRUD workflow, right? And then that's
Yeah.
it, you're done. And you don't think more about what people need to come to the table with, like what do they need to be told, how do they need to have their hand held, what do they need done.
Hmm.
And what prompted this was like recently I started a new team, and one of the first things I did was a first experience sort of tear down.
Heuristic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, my own experience, I recorded my own experience trying to get through all these steps of using my new service. And I learned that the onboarding experience was pretty rough. There
Hmm.
was broken links. There was old guidance. There was guidance that was hidden in the middle of documentation, not at the beginning. And of course, the screenshots on the tutorial are always out of date, stuff like that. And then after I did my version, I started inviting other people to come and use it, and I watched them use it. Some of the people I talked to were really experienced, so they were easy to recruit, and they were like, oh, click, click, click. But then some of the people I recruited hadn't used it before at all, and they really stumbled and they uncovered some rough edges. And one person I remember said, I feel really stupid right now. And I remember looking at this guy's profile because these people that I recruit, a lot of times they're fellow employees. They're very highly educated and trained. They have years of experience. This guy had probably 10 certification badges for all these different, things, skills that he had and things like that. And I was like,
Hmm.
this product makes this guy feel stupid. So
Hmm.
it was like a wake up call to me that you can't just dump APIs on a screen and expect people to come to the table with everything they need. They need onboarding, they need hand holding, and actually, they need abstraction. They need to be thinking about their goals and not so much like what's making it work under the hood, all the
Hmm.
parts, right? And so I think the design approach that I follow and many people follow, I think in my neck of the woods, is sort of like we're going to make these APIs really visible and really easy to understand and really clear. And first, you're clicking on this one, and this thing happens, and it's really discreet. And then you take the next step and you click on that, and then this step happens. Whereas, like, I think we're at the point where some of that stuff needs to fade into the background and they need to be making something or doing something, and multiple steps are happening, not unbeknownst to them, but just sort of like all at once so that they don't have to do so much hard work. I think
Hmm.
so often we just like skew to this experience of like, you're going to do all the work. We're going to make it, clear that you're doing this work, but you're doing all this work. And we sort of employ our users to, um, carry out these chores. And I think like I want to get away from that thinking and think more about like what's their goal? How can we help them achieve their goal? And it's not so much like first you're going to click here and then you're going to click here and then you're going to watch the spinner,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing. So that's my
I
Great.
I'll add too that this is true for like externally provided APIs that are being consumed by another party who's perhaps developing something and then providing that service as their product,
Mm-hmm.
and which of course happens with with Amazon services as well.
Yeah.
But what you were talking about really made me think like when I get a design system, this is an analogy. When I get a design system that is a very good design system, typically what you'll see is you'll kind of see some of the components and the rules and whatever, and then you'll see you know, try it this way, or these are some of the recommendations, but not this way. And they'll show you kind of like some of the experiential stuff. And as you were talking, I was trying to think when I have seen API documentation out there in the world. Obviously, it's a little too technical for me to like really consume, and I am not a developer, so
Then
I don't know.
it's not well written. I
But
mean,
it's
that's the
not,
thing. APIs
but
should be, yeah,
it is just the like, this is the call, this is the thing that gets returned. And
yeah.
it's not the, it's not the like
User guide.
the user guide. Yeah. Like the, what is the user coming into this experience, like maybe expecting and like what, what kind
What's the
of like
context?
what's the context? How could this be, how could this be related to some of the other calls that you might be making at the same time or
Mm-hmm.
separately? And so I guess I'll just add that too, is I think this is very insightful for me because I have, I work with APIs stuff too, and I like the overall theme here of experiences, not APIs. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
All right.
All right, what's yours? What's your
My
number
number
two?
two is a two for one. And a little dry, a little Meg. Like this is very on point for me.
Okay.
So there are two laws that are going to go into effect in 2025
Okay.
that are going to, I think, really impact UX across the board in terms of web experiences and product experiences, digital product experiences.
Mm.
And I think these are things that are sometimes not communicated directly to UX, or maybe we're kind of a little behind the eight ball. And I'm not saying that like I'm not. I only have kind of come to these things too as I've been working on stuff where they've been passed down to me from, say, a legal team or just being
Mm-hmm.
in a culture of accessibility or compliance and working in that space. And so the two things are the European Accessibility Act,
Mm.
which will go into effect in June, and then there is a new law in the United States around automatic renewals, and specifically in
Oh.
California that law is more stringent and it's going to go into effect in the summer as well.
Ooh.
And so here's what happened with GDPR and uh, okay, I'll just use GDPR. I had another one on the top of my head, but GDPR and other privacy laws have made it such that every time you go to a new website, you have to accept cookies.
Yes.
How impactful has that been to all sorts of things like web searching and all of that stuff? And it's just like it's something where yes, we have a solution for it. Yes, there are like not band-aids, but just like, uh, like a boxed up presence type and
Yeah.
boxed up present type situation you can just throw on your website and then it'll just do it. Like
Well,
you
my
can
favorite is
buy,
the ones that don't have the reject all button because I'm like, where's the reject all? And it's like,
yeah,
customize. Like, I don't want to customize. You
right, yeah.
customize. Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, and there's some definitely better ones
God.
than others. But here's the thing: GDPR was only a law in Europe, but it's
Yeah.
affecting all of us. And so these are the
Mm.
kinds of things that these two particular pieces of regulations are probably going to expand across the board. And so the first one is around accessibility, and it's just a more enforcement of the accessibility criteria that we all should already be abiding by. But it is going to have a lot more penalties. And so I think companies, rightly, who are doing business in the EU are
Hmm.
going to be more attentive
Hmm.
to this kind of a thing. And I think that this really, really excites me. I
Hmm.
honestly have to say this really excites me from a hype perspective because this is the stuff I really like working on. I'm so excited to be able to get the kind of attention to be able to work on this stuff. And I find myself
Yeah.
just digging into these areas to say, like, okay, well, these are the criteria. This is the UI. This is the design we want to have. This is the experience we want to have. Like, how can we get from here to there
Yeah.
and not really like do too much to like walk it back to an HTML from like
Yeah.
the late 1990s. So like how can we have rich experiences and still meet the accessibility criteria? And of course we could all argue for days and days and days about whether or not the accessibility criteria is, good enough or whatever, but
Hmm.
that's our standard and that's what we're working towards and that's
Yeah.
good. That's more than anything that, that's better than nothing.
They're
So anyway,
raising the bar. Yeah.
I'm really excited about the EAA. And then the other one is the California automatic renewal law, and there are more automatic renewal laws in the US as well. I think there's a federal one.
Yeah.
But what this is going to do is super interesting to me, not from a UX like not from a professional perspective or things
As
I
a
get to work
consumer.
on, but as a consumer, because
Yes.
basically this is going to mean well, the way that I think it's being interpreted, and who knows about what the actual penalties will be, but like the way that it's being interpreted is like you can it we went out like I don't know 2 decades ago with like software as a service as just we just like I'm talking about the tech industry just doubled down like 1,000,000% on
Uh-huh.
service like on subscription and
Trying to
renewals.
ensnare you, right?
Yeah, and this is going to, I don't want to say change or like revolutionize that paradigm, but it is going to impact it in a way that I don't think we've seen in the last like couple of
Oh,
years.
yeah. I
And
mean, there's
so,
services now that are like literally cut, like built to find and
mhm,
cancel subscriptions because
yeah.
people can't do it themselves. It's not easy.
Right. That's true. That's very true. Yeah. And then there's this fascinating, I think it's a law in Germany, fascinating law in Germany that you have to provide the service, the subscription service has to provide a way for the user to cancel without logging in. So the user does not have to
Oh,
remember their password
uh-huh.
to or do a password reset or whatever to cancel. They have to provide
Oh, I
some
bet that's a very
verification.
nice point of friction that companies have relied on for a long time.
Right, right.
Yes,
So anyway, that's a fascinating law. I don't have
I
that
like
one up
that.
a tab on my computer right now to call out what that one is. But anyway, so those are two regulations
Yes.
that I think are gonna like I'm hyped for different reasons, but I think are going to be impactful that are gonna come about in 2025.
You just have to chant, I cancel you 3 times. I cancel you, I cancel you, I cancel you. And then it's done. So
That would be
I love that. I think it's awesome. It's totally consumer minded. And I feel like it's such a breath of fresh air when you hear about
mm-hmm,
policies like this that are on the consumer side. And it's not
mm-hmm.
always just like, hey, sorry, it's a free market and anything bad that happens to you, it's just your fault because you weren't savvy enough. And I mean, yeah, it's like you're just feeling like constantly you're having to fend off things, intrusions on privacy or, on your bank account from tech companies where you click a box to accept terms and conditions or using something and suddenly, there's a vacuum sucking up your personal information. It just feels like you always have to be on guard. And it's my trust is so low of some of the things I use. I've just stopped using certain things. I've gotten off a lot of social media and stuff like that. And I've never tried TikTok and I'm not going to. So I'm very wary, but because I have young kids who are very interested in technology and want phones, and I know, like it's going to be interesting trying to figure out how to help them navigate and manage this stuff with, my skeptic side, but also knowing that like I can't keep them off this stuff forever. So yeah. Well, let me
What's your
see.
number two?
My number two. Okay, so my number two is storytelling. I heard, recently somebody talk about storytelling being like just the top skill that UX designers really need to have, UX professionals need to have. And to be honest with you, this is one of the biggest critical feedbacks I got this year from my manager was that I was not doing a good enough job owning and driving the story of my product for an executive leadership audience. Was I think I just did pretty much everything wrong when it came to doing this type of work. I was really
Hmm,
passive. I waited for my product leaders to tell me the story and then
mm-hmm,
um, was not owning the story or writing the story. And then when we got criticism on the story, I wasn't able to field it and answer it because I
mm-hmm.
wasn't informed enough about it. So I just had to defer comments, to the product team, which I am not crazy about. I got upset. at one point because I had been given like a script. We had a big all hands meeting, we have to present. Somebody hands me the script of a back and forth conversation between two users. So I illustrate the script, I do this fancy deck, and then other stakeholders came along. They're like, oh, I don't like that. Oh, you need to change that. Oh, that has to change. And I got really frustrated because they saw it as like a creative iteration, but I saw it as like, you guys are wasting my time here because I have deliverables that need to go to the development team, and I can't be sitting here changing slide
Hmm.
after slide working on this deck. And
Yeah.
I,
I just want
yeah,
to say I went through this exact
same
same
thing.
thing recently and I lost my shit in a meeting. Like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
in okay, that's maybe not a right characterization, but I was not the one holding it together. Like
yeah.
I was like rolling my eyes and interrupting and I was just so viscerally upset
Oh,
about it.
yeah. I mean, and the thing is that like this is my job too, but I didn't act like it. I think I was
Yeah.
acting like a kid who had been told to
Hmm.
do a chore, and I was like,
Hmm.
I did the chore. Okay, are you happy now? And I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
and this is like me telling my daughter to brush her teeth, and it's like it's your teeth. But I think like so the lecture I kept getting was like it's important to be doing the North Star visioning work, to be
Hmm.
telling and selling the story to the team, leadership, anyone who has the power to block this project or defund this project. You need to get them on board and get excited
Hmm.
about this vision and
Yeah.
not worry so much about, every little screen in Figma being ready for the development team. It's more about like also taking on that bigger work of being in those rooms and in those spaces where you're, saying, hey, this is where we're going in year two, three, four, five. And, this is going to be really worth it. This is going to be amazing for our customers. Um, and like doing that storytelling work. And so, I've I had to really change and like change my mindset because I was so pissed and I felt so frustrated, and I was like, this is way different than I'm used to working, but I have to face the music. I have to say, this is part of UX that I haven't been doing. It's not just about hard deliverables for the Scrum team, it's about setting a vision and for major leaps forward and getting
Hmm.
people on board. And what that looks like is sharp visuals, polished story, and sexy decks. Like it or
Sexy
not,
decks. Ugh.
sexy decks. It's gonna come down to
Okay.
sexy decks.
So, Jessamine, let's say hypothetically, a person is embarking on such a project, maybe even needs to be whipped up in the next couple of days. What would you say to them? How would you encourage them? I'd want to hear it.
I mean, I think it's like you have to be telling this story as if you care about this
Mhm.
person, this customer, this user, that they're struggling, they're limited, they're not able to be empowered, they're wasting time, and that this solution that you're going to bring is going to free them up to do the best work of their life, to spend time on things that matter, to get away from stuff that doesn't matter, like that it's going to open doors, it's going to unlock, you know, obstacle
Mhm.
goals, stuff like that. Like we talked about, like, hey, I broke my water bottle. And what that looks like today is I got to get on here. I got to fill out forms. I got to research parts. I got to
Mhm.
wait for this thing. I got to talk to a chatbot, and then I got to maybe write an email or whatever. And then what's that vision in 5 years is, hey, I broke my water bottle, water bottle company. And they say, we're sending you a new one. You can send it and you can send us back the old one or something like that. And you
Mhm.
don't have to do jack, it's done for you because all the data is there
Mhm.
and the experience is so
Yeah.
friction free, so low touch for you, you know?
Yeah. I think it is a good skill to build up to try to think farther into the future. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm I am encouraged. I am
Okay.
encouraged, Jessamine.
All right. All right.
I
Are
think
we?
I'm also going to pick a part of the project that I really do get excited about and make sure that like I don't I kind of like let that be, even though it's a small tiny part, like I let that be my fuel to get the rest of it done. Because like you said, like if it doesn't get funded, then even the part that you care about, like
Mm-hmm.
if the parts that you care about, sorry, if the parts that you don't care about don't get funded, like I guess you don't care. But usually what that means is a small part that get you do get excited about is also not going to get funded, and that would be sad. So anyway, if you followed any of my logic there. So, okay, number one, our number ones. I'm going to keep mine really short because mine is also a dream. It's a wish and a hope. It is probably maybe not reality. However, this is what I would love to be hyped about for this year.
Mm.
So I'm not sure it follows the prompt, but I am hyped for friends, random people on LinkedIn, for the job market to not be so hard. I
Mm.
really, really hope that that is what we see in 2025. Obviously, we had some really rough layoffs. We had kind of the fallout of that. Perhaps we will see some changes to the positive in 2025, and that is what I really hope. I hope that people who are stuck in jobs right now that they're not super excited about, but they're not looking outside because things are hard, get a chance to do that. I hope
Oh
that
yeah.
people who've been slogging away at this at the hard part of interviewing, I hope that we do start seeing some ease up on kind of the overwhelming influx, and people are finding the right fit.
Yeah.
So that's my hope. My hope is, or my hype is that the job market is going to get better, and friends and people are going to find a right fit. Because as cheesy as it sounds, I feel like I've found that with my team, and I really wish
Mm.
that for other people. So
Good. That's
that's my number one.
awesome. I love that. I love that. I agree with you. I don't want to have to turn to prostitution in 2025. I want to keep my job and for other people to keep theirs and for people who are looking to find them. So I hope the job market gets better. There's a lot of really, really talented people out there who are looking, and I think there's just so much opportunity that, teams, the hiring ratios are so low for UX anyway, that like there's just got to be, I think, more space for UX to like come in and make big changes instead of just hiring yet another engineer. Um, okay. So my number one thing for 2025 is that I'm excited about is connecting with customers. I really, really want to listen to customers and remove a lot of the technical and process barriers that have got in the way about learning about our users. I want to do less imagining and assuming what people would say and actually get some real scientific observation as part of my practice and not simulations. I feel like things are just always going in the wrong direction in this regard, where it's getting harder to source customers directly because a lot of times, customers are only accessible through certain job functions that's not necessarily UX, and you getting access to customers is like an invite only type of a thing. um, Being able to get people for usability sessions or interviews is often very daunting. It's a lot of overhead, and I end up using a lot of customer proxies. So people
Mhm.
who have customer facing roles who work with customers but are not customers, that can be fine to get the job done, but I'm not necessarily learning about the customer. And I want to talk to people who have skin in the game, because when you're paying that bill, or when you're tasked with solving that problem, you're going to feel a lot differently about it and be a lot more opinionated than someone who just, like knows about that issue. You know what I mean? So that's my goal, is to really, really connect with actual customers
Mhm.
directly as often as possible.
Do you think that, because I feel similarly that maybe there's been a lack of connection, do you
Mm.
think that it's a COVID thing? Do you think it's an industry like money resources thing? Like why, like if let's say this is universal, that it's not just
Hmm.
you and me feeling this like gap maybe for the last like little bit of time, like what do you think has caused it?
Well, I think that there is just a lot of like all the progress we make with technology, being able to do video calls, being able to do, kind of, I'm gonna click a button and run 10 user tests and I'll get results back in 30 minutes. Um, I think that stuff keeps us from really getting to know our real customers. And we end up making a lot of assumptions. I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of our personas are represented by cartoons. And I look at those cartoons and I'm like, who is this person supposed
Yeah.
to really be? Are
I really
these,
love
you
like the
know,
skinny woman marketer cartoon.
we just have a lot of people with like square faces and like bubble heads. It's
Yeah.
just like like they're just anonymous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you think about when you actually get to talk to people, when I've actually gotten to talk to customers either on the phone or in person, as infrequent as that has been, I never forget it. It sticks with me for years. And then, I think especially about people who, when you work on tools where this is part of their job, they have to use this tool for their job. They're in the tool for hours every day. So every little rough edge and paper cut like really hurts. Um, for them, like that's who I want to be thinking about because it's so easy to dismiss like, oh,
Mhm.
well, it's just an extra click or it's just, just an extra thing they have to do, an extra step. But if you have to do that, over and over, it really is annoying. And then you set yourself up for disruption because when the competitor comes along and they've taken that stuff away and they've sanded away all those rough edges, then customers are like, oh, look, finally someone gets me. Someone's been paying attention to me and my problems and thinking about my needs. And you can't generalize that stuff. You can't assume it. You have to really pay attention. And I think that's the hardest part of UX is like accepting that users aren't going to do what you want them to do. They're going to do
Mhm.
what they want to do. And they're going to always find the path of least resistance, no
Mhm.
matter how, whatever, ridiculous it might feel.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's my number one, connecting with real
Wonderful.
people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. Those are the top six things we are hyped about for 2025 in UX. To recap, from me, it's that I'm geared up to take on the battle with bots. I'm excited about regulations. That was the European Accessibility Act and some of the auto renewal laws, and hopefully the job market getting better. And from Jessamine, we've got experiences over APIs, delving into storytelling, probably for the good of your own career, even if it's
Hmm.
hard. And connecting with customers, getting to know all the little paper cuts that we're giving our customers
Hmm.
every day. So this time of year, like we said, we like to look forward, and it's also a good time of year to look back. And we've done a lot of reflection on the podcast this year, and just the overall podcast that we've had for the last 3.5 years. And in addition to all the things on our hype list, we are hyped about one more thing for 2025, which is a new phase of the podcast, which is drum roll, taking a break. We're taking a break.
Yay.
No, we are not actually super hyped about taking a break from hanging out or using this time to survive ourselves through our own careers or help other people survive. But we have needed to kind of take a step and just kind of see where we are. And we are hyped about thinking about the past, about what we've produced with the podcast, and really everything we've gotten to do because of it. And so I think we're really in a good spot of saying this was a great experience, and we've had a really good time. I've had a really good time sharing stories and hearing the stories of some awesome folks that were kind to join us here. And if that was you, thank you so much for being on. And I will say that before I let Jessamine talk a little bit about how she sees this moment, but I don't see this as goodbye forever, where it's just an indeterminate amount of time that we'll be on
Hmm.
hiatus. We might come back with some special episodes. We might come back with new formats, special series, maybe some non-podcast stuff. We don't really know what the future holds. Right now,
Hmm.
we're going to take a breather. We're going to feel some stuff out, see where our lives take us.
Yes.
So Jessamine, hopefully
Yes.
this isn't news to you. Just kidding. Of course, it's not news to you. We've been talking about this for a little
You're
bit.
breaking up with
So
me in public so I don't make a scene.
tell me a little bit about how you see this moment for us, for you and for Surviving UX.
So, first of all, I want to reflect on all that we've done. We have made over 70 episodes over the course
This
of
will be our
4 seasons.
75th episode, I
Yay! Oh my
believe.
gosh, that's
I
so
know.
cool. And I, first of all, want to thank all of the guests that have come on the show, probably over 60 people we've interviewed on the show for sharing their stories of how they've survived the UX profession. We would never have had the opportunity to talk to all those people, I think, unless we'd had the show to bring them on. And so it was a really cool way to just stay connected and hear so many stories. And second, I want to thank you, Meg, for your friendship, your partnership, and basically helping me turn this idea into a reality and putting just so much heart into every episode. I have learned so much watching you handle like all the nitty-gritty of doing the work of hosting a podcast. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yay. And my last kind of observation or thought is that like the relationships that I have made during my career are the biggest reward. They're the biggest treasure for me. And I heard something recently that really struck me about, the people that you work with. Um, you have these, like, I don't know about you, whenever I have a new colleague or something that I meet, I'm thinking like this person could be somebody I work with for a couple weeks or a couple months or even a couple years. This could
Hmm.
be the beginning of a beautiful new friendship. Like people come and go, they come in and out of your life, your work life, and like some of them really stick around. And though the best ones that I feel like I've had, it's like you create something new together that wasn't there before. And I heard this, it was about just like romantic relationships, but I heard it, of course, on reality television. A therapist was saying people often go out into the world looking for what they think is their ideal partner that has these qualities and these characteristics and these physical attributes, whatever, but they neglect to think about with that other person, what will they create that is new? And I love that so much because, Meg and I have created something that wasn't there before together. And to me, that is like such an amazing thing that I can't believe that we've done. And I'm so excited that what we've done. And the other thing I'm really proud of is that we've done it for us. We haven't, sold out. We have no we have no sponsorship or
So,
advertising or anything. And that has honestly been the best thing because every time I have felt any sort of stress or pressure about, getting something wrapped up, getting something edited, getting something published, I'm like, remember, this is just for fun. It's just for us. And it doesn't matter how many people downloaded or how many people listened this week versus last
mhm.
week. And like, who cares? Because all that matters is that Meg and I got a chance to chat. And that was the best thing. So,
It totally was. I
yeah.
love that you brought up. I just have so many emotions. I
Yay.
should have brought Kleenexes to this recording. Um, I love what you said about like building something together. I came back from our conference trip, and I think I told a couple of people who don't know you, or they're just kind of like in my other parts of my life, and I said, I really just feel like Jessamyn's like my work
Aw.
wife. Like
Oh,
she
yay.
is like the missing, not the missing piece, but like the two, like I feel like we just play really well off each other. And you've given me a number of opportunities to like record without you, or or do different things, and I've just been like, I would have taken them on, I totally would have, but I think every time I thought about doing it, it just wasn't where it just wasn't exciting to do it without
Aw.
you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I will miss this chance to get to do this with
Yeah.
you.
I
But I
know.
am so happy that we did it. And
Me too.
our lives are in very different places than they were
Oh
three and a
my
half years
gosh.
ago. And so I think it's a good thing to honestly to see kind of what might be next and what might
Yeah.
be another good thing to explore.
I know.
But Jasmine, what you said was really beautiful. So I don't want to end on my like crappy unpreparedness.
Come on. Let's hear some
But
crappy unprepared.
you are a wonderful friend. This was your idea from the start. I was so happy you reached out to see if we wanted to do this, and
Yay.
I can't wait for your next great idea, whether it's something along these lines or something else.
All right. Well, I'm down. I'm down. All right. Farewell, friends and listeners, everyone who's supported us on the podcast. We thank you so much for being part of it with us. We've really enjoyed having you along for the ride.
Take care, everyone.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamyn Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco Phones Opus No. 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. If you have a story for us about how you survived the UX profession, write to us at survivingux@gmail.com. Have a happy new year, and we hope you survive and thrive in 2025.